Hi, welcome back to 8-Bit Retro. In my previous video, I briefly mentioned that I wanted to investigate another mystery from my youth. It has to do with this controller, the 6-button Genesis control pad, and this little button on top called the mode button. I must have pressed this button 1,000 times and never knew what it did. Now, when we got a new controller or accessory, we didn't read shit in the manual. We just basically threw the box and the manual away, never to be seen from again. So the reason that button exists was probably written in an instruction manual somewhere, but tossed away in the trash and never heard from again. Well, here comes the internet, an instruction manual in digital form, as long as you know where to look. Now, originally it launched, the Sega Genesis released with a 3-button controller, D-pad, start button, and 3 trigger buttons, the A, B, and C buttons. Now, 3 buttons was pretty awesome until Super Nintendo was released with more buttons. Control pad with shoulder buttons and an extra button on the bottom here, plus the start and select button. The controller was easy to use, had plenty of buttons, and it set the stage for future controller configurations. And PlayStation and Xbox would use this practical controller layout, and they would also add another control stick and 2 more shoulder buttons. When the 6-button pad was released, some games did not function with the 6-button configuration, so a mode button was added to the top of it to revert it back to a 3-button configuration. So it was flush with the casing, and you didn't notice it until you pressed it or looked directly at it. And if the button was held during the system booting, it would render the top 3 buttons inactive and just become a 3-button pad. The list of games that was compatible with the 6-button pad was rather large and is spread over the Sega Genesis, Sega CD, and the 32X, but here are some examples. Most sports games and most fighting games like Mortal Kombat use the mode button, along with other games like Virtual Racing, Urban Strike, and The Lion King. And some games needed to be in 3-button mode because the cursors ended up being way too fast or there was some input lag. There are games that use the mode button as an extra button, and there's also some hidden compatibility with those buttons that were not mentioned in instruction manuals. In the end, I hardly used that button, and if I did, it was purely coincidental. I always wondered why that button was there, but as a kid, playing the game was way more important than wondering what the button did. And that there is a brief explanation on the mode button on the 6-button control pad for the Sega Genesis. If you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. It helps me out for future videos. Thanks for watching.